everyone, welcome back to Gardening from Square One. I'm Lynn, and if you are new here, a big welcome to you. Because now is prime time to start planting those cold-tolerant plants and trees, today we're going to focus on junipers. Now, junipers belong to the cypress family, and it is a wide species. There's a lot of different junipers and cultivars. Today, we're going to talk about the different junipers. I have several growing in this garden that I'm so excited to share with you. But I want to tell you, there's a juniper tree for practically every garden. So today we're going to go over that, and ultimately at the end of this video, you too will be able to decide what junipers are best for your garden. So let's get started. Okay, so just to get this out of the way, we are going to start with cold climates. And the first juniper is the Juniper chinensis. Now these are great for cold climates. They tend to range from zones 4 or 5 all the way up to 9. These junipers tend to be drought tolerant, also deer resistant, of course. And in the name chinensis, you probably kind of hear China. That is because they are from Asia. And when I hear that a plant's from Asia, danger Will Robinson, I start thinking, are they going to do well in my hot climate? And so one thing you may want to do if you garden somewhere where your summers are very toasty, so a hot climate, this particular juniper, you want to be careful where you put it. So I have multiple growing here. I have 4 in other places throughout the yard, and I probably killed about 3 of them trying to figure out how to make these happy, which I think I finally managed to do. But I'm going to tell you, if you live in a hot climate, you may not want to plant these in full all-day sun. Now, while they still need about 6 hours of sun, they don't really appreciate full all-day sun in climates where the summers are scorchers. So I mean 90s, 100s. Like right now, it is 94 degrees, about 38% humidity here in Central Texas. The good news is in 2 days, it's going to be 83 degrees, and I think the heat is dropping. However, back to this plant. Now, some very good cultivars for you if you garden in a colder climate, so zones 5, 6, 7A. There's the Hollywood juniper, the Spartan juniper, the Blue Point juniper, and the Heat juniper. Now, if you watch Grow For Me Gardening, they grow a beautiful Heat, and what is the other one? They have a Heat juniper and, oh gosh, a Blue Point. Both of those, and they do quite well in their zone 5. I think they're 5B. They're zone 5B garden. Now, I'm in zone 8B, and I'm growing this here, and they're always at our local garden centers, etc. And it's probably because they are up to zone 9, and they are drought tolerant. So a lot of people who garden in areas like this one, when they hear drought tolerant and it's up to their zone, they're like, "Way, yay, that's a plant for us." But besides the fact that it cannot, or it doesn't prefer to be in all-day sun, this juniper, the Blue Point, the Spartan, the Hollywood, and the Heat juniper, they prefer acidic soil. So if you're growing any of those junipers and it's not quite performing the way that you think it should, it could be, well, maybe it needs a little more shade during the hottest part of the day. Or if your soil is alkaline, these plants prefer it skewed towards the acidic. So you may want to do something to improve your soil. So cold climates, you've got your Blue Point, your Hollywood, your Spartan, and your Heat junipers. Any of those should work beautifully in your garden. Now, those of you who garden in zone 4 and you don't like plants that go down to where your zone is, or those of you in zone 3, keep watching. I have a juniper that will be perfect in your garden as well. Next, moving to the junipers for those of you who live in coastal climates. So for those of you growing or wanting to grow junipers and you live in a coastal climate, the Sabina junipers are low growing junipers that are great for your climate. However, we're talking about trees today. So the pick for you is the Hollywood juniper. So yes, it is a Juniper chinensis, just like the blue points, and well, I talked about it when I talked about those. It is a zone 5 through 9 juniper. The reason why that selection is made for your area is because the Hollywood juniper is salt tolerant, and that's what you need when you're growing these junipers. Y'all, I'm wearing white and long sleeves and long pants because the mosquitoes love me, and I'm doing this because they're coming after me. So, sorry. I tried to film this multiple times, and they won't leave me alone. So anyway, I'm moving to a different part of the yard. The next juniper species is the Scoloporum, or the Rocky Mountain juniper. And I'm just going to say Rocky Mountain. Now these junipers, they will be anywhere from zones 3 to 8 or 9, with a lot of them being zones 3 through 7 actually. And the nice thing about these junipers is, as you can see with this skyrocket juniper right here, most of them, except for the species, they remain pretty small, so they usually don't become more than about 20 feet in height. And most of them, they can range anywhere from about 2 feet to 6 or 7 feet or so in width. But what's nice about them, you can get these gorgeous blue-green or gray-green leaves, although the Rocky Mountain juniper, so basically the straight species, it will become taller than these cultivars like the Moonglow, the Wichita Blue. Another one is, well, the Skyrocket, this one right here. What's nice about them is they do very well in arid climates. They are drought tolerant. They can deal with a good amount of heat. But like I said, be careful with these because some of these are better for zones 3 through 7. And then others, you know, they're hardy up to zone 8 and 9. You guys, one thing that I really like about junipers is the fragrance. These leaves are only second for me to pine tree and those gorgeous blue spruce trees that we just cannot grow here in my hot zone 8B. Okay, moving on. And without further ado, this is the Eastern Red Cedar. And this is the one that most gardeners can grow. Now, the Eastern Red Cedar is an evergreen juniper. So it is the Juniper virginiana. And it is hardy in zones down to zones 3, maybe even 2, and all the way up to 9. It is drought tolerant. It can deal with humidity. Mine is in full all day sun up to sundown. It is starting to get the cones that look like little blueberries because this one is a girl. And it will ultimately become anywhere from about 30 to 60 feet in height and anywhere from about 8 to 15 or so feet in width. Now, not everyone has the space to accommodate this, and of course, you can trim it to kind of keep it more in size. This one is 3 years old, or 3 years in this garden. It was planted, it was a 10-gallon little plant, and I will pop in a picture so you can see what it looked like when it went in. But this is an excellent choice for most gardeners. But the only time you don't want to deal with an Eastern Red Cedar, which is not a cedar, it's a juniper. Juniper virginiana is the species. The only time you don't want to deal with this one is if you have apple trees. That is a no-no. However, if you do not have space for this Eastern Red Cedar, there are others. So right next door, here's the Taylor juniper. And the Taylor juniper will only become anywhere from 2 to 4 feet in width and about 20 feet in height. Now, it is not hardy all the way down to zones 3. I believe it's only hardy from zones 4 through 9. All of these junipers are deer resistant, drought tolerant. But if you want a good alternative for an Italian cypress, this might be the tree for you. Another option, if this is too little and that one's too large, maybe I have the Goldilocks for you. Oh, and I forgot to mention the Eastern Red Cedar forms a pyramid or basically a conical shape. Now this one, however, this is the Brodie Eastern Red Cedar, still a juniper, but this one only becomes about 6 to 8 feet in width and about 25 feet in height. It does not create a pyramid, it creates a cylindrical shape. Again, same great attributes of the Eastern Red Cedar. This one is not, I don't think it's hardy down to zone 3, but probably for sure zone 4. If you like Eastern Red Cedars and you think they're right for you, but you don't want green, you want something to brighten up your space or add more interest, I've got one for you. This, my friends, is the Burkii Eastern Red Cedar. Look at the color. Like, if I could hug a tree, it would be this one. We almost drove all the way up to the Dallas area, actually north of the Dallas area. We're going to rent a van to buy these because no place locally had these Burkii Eastern Red Cedars. And if you ever want to see a beautiful full-grown version of this tree, Jenny at Creekside has them on her property. But look at the open growth. Look at the color, the fragrance. Now this one will stay smaller than the Eastern Red Cedar, so the straight Eastern Red Cedar. It will become somewhere around 20-25 feet in height and somewhere around 8 to 10 feet in width. So smaller size, different color leaves, and I love the open branching on this plant. I mean, it's truly made me like, it's pokey, but I could almost become a tree hugger with this one. One thing I wanted to show you is the color difference between this Burkii Eastern Red Cedar and an Arizona Cypress, because I have them side by side. So come on, let's look. So in the back, that is an Arizona Cypress. And right here out front is the Eastern Red Cedar. What I'm finding is the Eastern Red Cedar has more blue, whereas the Arizona Cypress has a little more gray. So depending upon what you're looking for, but for me, nothing, matches the visual interest created by the branching on this Burkii Eastern Red Cedar. So hands down, the Eastern Red Cedar is the top pick for a juniper for most gardens. The problems, you want to make sure that you keep them away from apple trees. And some of them can get spider mite infestations. The ones that get infested more so than any others tend to be the Juniper chinensis, so the Hollywood, the Spartan, the Blue Point, and the Hetzy junipers. They suffer from spider mites a little more than the others, but it's never anything to completely destroy the tree. And if you're just paying attention, you can hose them off, use a miticide, an organic miticide, insecticidal soap, and that tends to take care of anything that, happens in terms of spider mites, although I've never had anything happen with these trees in this garden. Okay, so fall is on its way, y'all. Get those orders in. I'm starting to plant. I'm sure many of you are too. Thanks for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day in your gardens. Bye.